Hi, it's Mark from Top Local Lead Generation. We're here with Bernie Pawlik of Pawlik Automotive. They're an award-winning shop in Vancouver, 15 times voted by their customers as best auto repair in Vancouver. How are you doing today, Bernie?
Really well.
So we're going to talk about brakes. It's a very common thing. All cars have brakes, unless you have a Fred Flintstone car. How often should I get my brakes inspected?
A very good question. And actually, if you have a Fred Flintstone car, you still have to use your feet. So those are your brake pads. They may not last. They may not last too long. Anyways, brake inspections. Generally, good rule of thumb is once a year or 12,000 kilometers. But it really depends on how much you drive. If you only drive 5,000 kilometers a year, every couple of years is good. If you drive more frequently, like a taxi cab, then every 6 months would be more appropriate. But for most people, once a year is the time.
So does it change much with where I live? If it's somewhere with harsh winters or there's lots of salt put on the roads, does that make any difference?
I would say that it doesn't in terms of getting brake inspections, but you will find that if you live somewhere with a salty, where there's a lot of salt used on roads, your brakes will wear out faster. More parts and pieces will wear. Things like brake lines will rust out. Brake rotors take a lot more of a beating in those kind of climates. So, getting an annual brake inspection is absolutely crucial in those kind of climates. If you live in milder areas, you might be able to get away with a little more.
So what about most modern cars? Don't they have a warning that says when the brakes are almost worn out?
Some cars do, some cars don't. You'll usually find warning systems in one of two ways. One of them is an actual mechanical device. It's like a little piece of wire or metal stuck onto the brake pad, and it'll usually cause a squealing noise when the brakes are nearly worn out. Now, some cars have these and some cars don't. And it's important to know whether your car has them or not. I don't even know if you can find that information in a repair manual. And those are only found on disc brakes as well. So if your car has drum brakes, which some vehicles do, there's no warnings. And these are kind of unreliable anyway. So again, it's best to get an inspection on an annual basis. Now, the other wear indicator is a lot of European cars. Mostly European cars have an electronic system where they have an actual electric wire that attaches to the brake pad, and when it wears to a certain point, it'll turn a light on your dash. These are fairly accurate, but they're not. There's things that are not so good about some of them. Like, for instance, some cars, like we had a Porsche recently, that every single brake pad had a wire connected to it, whereas a lot of others will have one wire connected to one brake pad on the front and one to the rear, or they'll only do the fronts but not the rears. So it's unless you know for certain, it's still good to get the brake inspection done, because it gives you peace of mind to know where things are at.
So what does a brake inspection cost?
At our shop, generally, it's about $67 for cars and light trucks. Medium trucks and larger, the cost is higher. That's the general cost.
And the brakes will wear differently on like the front and rear brakes?
They do. There's a wide variety of, every vehicle wears differently. And yeah, it's just really a matter of inspecting to know how things are going. And as a car gets older, things happen surprises happen, like things like calipers will start to stick or brake hoses will deteriorate. These are some of the joys of owning an older car. So again, inspections are even more important as a car gets older.
So when I bring my vehicle in, what's included with the brake inspection?
Excellent question. So the first part of the brake inspection is asking you, how the brakes are working for you. Just interviewing you and asking you how the brakes are working, getting your opinion. From there, a good, long, thorough road test to see how the brakes feel. And then from there, we do a hoist inspection. We remove all the wheels. We measure the brake pads, the rotors, remove the drums. We measure the drums, the thickness of the brake linings. Inspect all the hydraulic components like the wheel cylinders. We test the brake fluid for water concentration. Look at all the brake lines and hoses. And from there, we can make an estimate if you need any repairs, or just let you know that everything's fine and you can be on your way, or when you're going to need to do your brakes next.
And when you do a recommendation, you will literally go through and say to people, you have to get your brakes done, or you can wait a few months, or give them an idea of what's involved, what's actually going to happen before you do the work?
Absolutely. I think one thing we like to do here, I don't like to pressure anyone, but I mean, if your brakes are like about to go metal on metal or they're grinding, I mean, we're going to say, hey, you got to do these like right now. But I mean, anything else, if there's 2 or 3 millimeters left on the brake pad, I've got a sample here actually, if you can see that. This is a sample brake pad that, on the green side, this is good. This is on the red side, that's worn out 2 or 3 millimeters. I mean, even if you have 2 millimeters, you still have a little bit of life if you can't afford to do your brakes today, but you can do them in a month. So we'll let you know. We'll give you an idea.
Awesome. So if you need a good brake job in Vancouver, the guys to call are Pawlik Automotive. You can book an appointment at 604-327-7112. Come and check out their new shop with 5 bays and many mechanics to serve you. They're expanding and growing because business is great. Or you can check out their website, pawlikautomotive.com. Thanks, Bernie.
Thanks, Mark. Talk to you again soon.